So here's your last chance to back out now, because I'm about to tell you one of the best jokes that you will wish you never heard again. So here's how it goes. You'll love to tell this joke to all your friends, trust me, because their faces will be priceless, but you won't want to hear this. A man was driving down the countryside one night, and this was the time before cell phones or any kind of mobile device like that. His car breaks down, and he's miles away from any town. However, he just happens to break down in front of a monastery. He walks up to the monastery, knocks on the door, and the monks come and answer the door. He asks them if do they have any phone by chance so that he could call a tow truck. Unfortunately, they do not. They said they will take care of him, they will put him up for the night, and in fact, they had a garage and they could even work on his vehicle for them. And so he accepts, they put him in a room, and he falls asleep. Well, much later that evening, he's awoken by the strangest noise that he'd ever heard. He couldn't place what it was, like a low pulsating, but like high whistles and things like that. He had no idea what could make such a strange noise. Well, the next morning, he's awoken, the sunlight's bathing him, he goes down and to the main open area, and they're feeding him breakfast. They tell him, "Sir, we were able to fix your car for you, everything's in working order, and you're free to go." He said, "Well, what do I owe you?" And they said, "Don't worry, there's money is no use to us. We fixed it, and you're good to go." Well, he says, "Well, thank you, but I had a question. I was woken by this strange noise. What was that noise? What made that noise?" And they said, "Oh, well, we're sorry, sir. We can't tell you that because you're not a monk." Well, he accepted this because they did him a favor and they fixed his car and he went on his merry way. 3 years had passed, and the man was driving down the same country road again late at night, and his car breaks down at the same exact location. He didn't think much of it until he looked over and he saw the very same monastery from before, and he remembered exactly what happened 3 years prior. Well, he walks up to the monastery, he knocks on the door. The same monks answer the door, and he tells them, he says, "I know this is going to sound crazy, but my car broke down again. You don't by chance have a phone yet that I can call a tow truck and pick me up?" And they say, "Sorry, sir, we don't have anything as such, but we can put you up for the night just like we did last time." He thanks them. They bring his car into their garage, and he goes to sleep. And again, in the middle of the night, he's awoken by that same strange noise. And he tells himself, he says, "I have to ask them again. I have to know what's making this noise. It's so out there, outlandish. Nothing I could think of could make this sound." So the next morning came, they're feeding him breakfast. They tell him, "We fixed your car again. There's no charge to you. Money is no good to us, and you're free to go." And he tells me, he says, I have to ask this again. I'm sorry if it's disrespectful, but I have to know what makes that noise in the middle of the night. I've never heard something like that." And they said, "Sorry, sir, we can't tell you because you're not a monk." He said, "Well, you know what? What do I have to do to become a monk?" They said, "Well, you have to scour the entire world. You have to count every blade of grass and every grain of sand. Only then can you become a monk." And so he did just that. He set out. He went from corner to corner of the entire world, over the seas, through all the different lands. He counted every blade of grass and every grain of sand. And after this journey that took him close to 12 years, he finally made it back to the monastery. He goes up to the door, he knocks on the door, and the monks come and answer. They chuckle, they say, "What, did your car break down again?" He says, "No, no, I have gone. I have scoured the entire globe from coast to coast and every land in between. I've counted every blade of grass and every grain of sand, and I would like to become a monk." They said, "Well, you've done what it's necessary. You can now become a monk." He sighed a sigh of relief. And then he says to them, he said, "You know what? Many years ago, when I was here, I was awoken by the strangest noise I'd ever heard. I I have to know what made that sound." And they said, "Okay, well, it's right this way." So they lead him down a hallway. And at the end of this hallway was a very beautiful a wooden oak door with wonderful carvings inside of it. They open that door and it leads down another corridor. He heads down that door and there's a beautiful, beautiful copper door with some minor jewels in different places throughout the door. They open up that door. He goes down another long hallway that leads up to a silver door, and it's beautiful and some diamonds crusted inside of it. So they go down another hallway, leading all the way down until they get to this huge golden door with different bits of emeralds and jewels and diamonds crusted in it. They open that door and it leads down yet one more long hallway to this huge ruby door, massive door. They open this door and inside is this grand atrium. He's looking at the size of this room and he thinks to himself, there's no way this room could even have fit inside the monastery. The monastery wasn't this big. Where was this room hidden all along? They lead him up into the center of the room, and on this tiny little table was the very thing that was making that sound he had heard so many years ago. And I'm pretty sure you're probably wondering yourself, well, what made that noise? Well, I can't tell you because you're not a monk.